This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like a sign blank check. It seems the ones that come in after quick to disrespect. You see, this life in the ghetto never easy. So many hungry days break till it grieve me. Way I doing the best I can, trying to turn my dollar to 100 grand. I represent the ghetto people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire, you definitely find smoke. Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Baytown, I say up and running. Caliban say my shop, I don't ever give in. 7 years of farm and watch the crops them coming. True they see a humble thing, the lion sleeping. But they ain't for no reason. Only God that I believe in, living. Watch them only pass through for a season. Cutlass, I gon' weed them.
Good night, and welcome to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. It's a pleasure to be a host on this wonderful station. Excuse me. My name is Valentino, host of the talk show Inside the Inner City that premieres every Friday at 6:30 to 8 p.m. except holidays. My nickname, I am many, Scrooge, Governor, MP. Those are names that we're wearing. And it's a pleasure to be a host on this wonderful Friday. Inside the Inner City is a show that talks about a lot of topics. We find a lot of solutions for a lot of the problems we face in the country. But not only that, me as an individual, I do more than talking. I contribute by going to various different government functions, various different meetings. I also help develop organizations. Not only that, I do my own community work in my community on a daily basis to make sure that I'm not here just talking, but I'm also contributing to the country's development. So our job is on Inside the Inner City is that, we have a history of knowing what residents need to improve the community. We also know what affects us, whether it's the hospital, decision government makes, or decision we make as individuals who don't have all the tools inside the inner city community. And we also like to talk about the problems that affect us. Things that go under the radar will be called what goes on in the night, will come to light. And, based on a lot of cases involving corruption in the country, we could all say that there was a lot of darkness that came to light that would surprise many. But us inside the inner city knew this problem all along. We didn't wish for no one to be persecuted, because we were being persecuted inside the inner city from the highest in the land, because we were misunderstood. And all the blame was put on us. Now we're finding out that a lot of the problems stem from the top. And that's why we can't get rid of a lot of our problems. We are just finding out what some of our major problems are, and it's corruption. And it's also about maintenance. And maintenance come in many ways. Maintenance, fixing a car, keeping a school maintained, make sure that, before school's open, you have someone, a team on the ground checking the doors, the windows, the roof, Anything that is going to affect the students when they come to school, that is dealt with in a timely fashion. It also keeps the car in good condition, keeps the building in good condition, and makes it last longer. So it'll last like 50, 100. And not only that, maintenance also carries a different aspect to it. It has a different aspect to it too, a different understanding, okay? Because it can mean many different things. It also means that you could keep records of what's going on in your department. It says that's a maintenance check. It's like, like a survey, what do we call it? When we in the food store, and we say not renovations. And we checking all the stuff inside the food store. So it's things like that to keep a check on your departments to make sure that, you're not just letting managers, you're not letting your business run out of control. So you're just doing a maintenance check. Like you get an update on what's going on in the department. Why is this one getting paid so much? Why is this one being denied a promotion? Why is, something that we spent money on and we say we're going to fix it. We hear that we can't fix it, it's going to take a little time. What is the problem? So maintenance carries a lot. It also saves us a lot of money as a country because we have had a lot of rundown buildings, and government itself is renting buildings from individuals in the country, which is costing the government millions and costing the Bahamian taxpayers millions of dollars that could be saved for more important matters. And I'll explain later on in the show as I continue. We look at the rent that government rents from individuals in the country, runs in the million. And we need to find a way in how we can stop expenditure in the country, When we look at government budget and what government owes, it's in the billions. So we have to find ways on how we can break that down, by, let's say, not renting too much. We have to break down some of the payment plans of some individuals. We take a look at BPL, for a prime example. Not saying that we want to stop people from earning a decent living, but it's ridiculous to see 3 people can make $600,000, in a space of a few months. $600,000. What about teachers? Who are more important here? I'm not cutting the guys from BPL who are qualified technicians, but at the same time, that money can trickle down at least 15, 20 different people in BPL. And maybe we get some things done, when you take a look at it. It's ridiculous. And that is over exceeding the treasury. Okay? That money could put to use for the teachers or what, let me see here, or the autistic children. All right? And that's what I'm talking about. We spend a lot of money in this country where we don't need to be spending money. But if we learn to save, cut off some of this renting, come off some of these high salary payment that a lot of people be getting these government departments. Now, I'm not saying a lot of people ain't qualified for it. But, politics in it, man, you cut other people out from achieving their goals. Because there's no way possible that we could have 3 individuals. I mean, they might be qualified for job. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they could be qualified for job. They wait that type of money, but the overtime. Who was managing overtime? Who was maintaining the overtime to say, hey, look, man, this guy's been putting so much to succeed over $100,000. We can't continue to give these guys overtime. Let's give some other young individuals in different departments an opportunity to come on board and learn from experience, things like that. So that's overspending. So that ain't look too good, So a lot of stuff like that, as a country, we have to look into. Every time we look, the government is borrowing. We borrowing, and we ain't getting nothing back. You understand? The money is going in the hands of Bahamians, who own these buildings and stuff like that. You never know who they're connected to. You never know if they're part of a party, a rich family that has connection with both parties, and it's a way of getting funds out of the treasury legally. But at the same time, you're bringing the country down, and you can't. It's more in debt, and it's going to be hard for us to fix it. Then things that are most important, like the autistic children in the country who are just getting water like $200,000-$300,000. You know, so how it is that 3 individuals at this company can make $600,000+, and yet still the autistics, places like the Ranfley Home, that need the funds, that need this type of money, are only getting like what? A little, 10 cents? You see, how are we going to progress? You know? How are we going to progress if we continue and deny those in need the opportunity to help themselves? But seems like the small things don't count. And we are not seeing how we are actually destroying ourselves in this country. Because the autistic children, you know, when I look at the budget that the Ministry of Social Service put towards autistic children, and then I look at what they're saying 3 employees at BPL receive in a time frame, I say, hold on now. You're only giving them, what, a couple $100,000, but these guys make $600,000? So which is more important, the autistic children? Then you look at the teachers who fighting and the nurses who fighting, you know, for better payment. Then when you look at it, $600,000 and the nurses, you know, want a pay increase. What are we doing here? Whoa. You know, I'm not saying the BPL team don't deserve, you know, the payment, but I mean, come on, man, this just ain't right. You know, we have the money, we just don't put the money in the right spots, and it's killing us as a country. So we're gonna play the clip, and then we're gonna begin the show. But we're gonna have a different couple segments. You know, I don't have a show on one particular topic. You know, I just mix it up like Kong salad. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the BPL. Then we're gonna talk about Kai Wilson from BPL. Then we're gonna play something about Trump, about the COVID-19 and how he's stopping a lot of what you call the shots now, vaccination. He has limited that now in the U.S. All right, and that goes to show you that when the COVID-19 pandemic was happening around 2019, 2020, it was engineered in Wuhan, China, and escaped. And we didn't have to do all those lockdown and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. You know, ivermectin and herbal use could have, you know, bring down some of the cases, and many people ain't had to die, you know, and they were diagnosed wrong, and a lot of people had clots and et cetera. So in order to curb that, Donald Trump himself was saying that some of these vaccination that kids have been receiving all at one time. You know, they showed from 1986 to now, kids were getting 3 vaccinated shots. Now today, kids getting like 17, 18. And in doing so, it has destroyed the molecular structure of that child, and now they're immune to all kind of diseases, and especially autism in the country. All right, so that's why we're seeing a lot of kids, you know, autistic in the country. All right. So we're gonna play the clip. We're gonna get to that, but we're gonna play the clip from the former Prime Minister. Minister's making a lot of noise and making a lot of sense, you know, lately. But we're gonna play the clip. Talk about BPL. We get it, Chris? Okay, 1 second.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis called the leak of BPL workers' overtime payments a deflection from the company's struggle to keep the lights on. He questioned why the new overtime policy was not implemented before a recent industrial agreement signing.
This government is a government of PR. They were losing the PR with respect to BPL. You had your executive come out talking some nonsense, but when the power go off, we can assist, just go to the beach. I mean, how the hell you tell me go to the beach 9, 10 o'clock at night to get raped or get robbed. So they spoke that nonsense and they were getting a lot of backlash and they needed deflection. And this is nothing more than a deflection to cover up their mismanagement and what is going on with BPL today.
3 employees in the Fuel and Performance Department at Bahamas Power and Light reportedly received a combination of $601,000 in overtime pay between May 2025 and April 2026. The revelation comes as the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union threatens industrial action over a new overtime policy, which the union says contradicts an industrial agreement signed less than 2 months ago. The government has come out in support of BPL's board, describing the company's approximately $20 million annual overtime bill as unacceptable and unsustainable. Menace is questioning why the new policy was not agreed upon before a new industrial agreement was signed.
They've just completed an industrial agreement. They did that just before election. There was no problem with increasing staff numbers from about 600 to 1,200. Election. There was no problem with increasing base pay. There was no problem with increasing overtime pay. So you knew exactly what you were doing. You did that so you can win the election. Now it's over. Chicken come home to roost.
Menace also accused officials of attempting to turn consumers against BPL workers, saying the focus should instead be on compensating customers who have lost appliances and business due to frequent power outages.
They've not yet addressed the mom and papa store who had to close because of the power outages. These are things people want to hear, and they're running away from those things.
While Menace agrees that the amount being paid in overtime is astronomical, he believes a compromise can be reached, including the possibility of compensating workers based on a percentage of their base salary.
Maybe they need to look at what is the overtime. And they knew that before election, but they were anxious to win. So they did all sorts of crap. And now the chicken come home to roost. And now they're running, turn the people off against the union. For God's sake, man, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the facts. So you look at what you're paying in overtime, and you come up with a formula in base pay. And therefore, because you want the base pay to be less than the overtime to try control that.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Vonique Toot.
Yeah, I mean, that is common sense. You want the base pay to be more than overtime. Because how can overtime be more than your base pay? That is again, like I feel that goes political just to get people to speak on behalf of an organization. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying, I'm just saying naturally. That's what goes on behind closed door. Everything that's nice, we give positions to people. Some might not be unqualified. That is true with Minister saying how much people got employed to BPL before the general election. Then we have a lot of unqualified persons who got hired. And no wonder why we having all these blackouts in the country. I think a very important role in it as well. Wouldn't you say? And to me, personally, I really don't know too much about how the system run. But based on living in the Bahamas for the last, 50-some years, having been in all the blackouts that occurred, hurricanes and lampposts getting knocked down and system getting installed with new generators and etc. I've been here. And has it improved? I'd say slightly. Has it gotten better? Nope. Because we have failed to really address the problem. It's by reducing the strain on BPL by adding solar and other modernized power systems that we can teach our kids in the country to use our sun. And then there's also other alternative that we can teach and add on to the energy crisis in our country. But we want to keep on buying oil from persons from the U.S. who we have a connection with in the Bahamas, and they're partners with offshore oil companies, and it's a big profit. Okay? And then and there, with the political you being a part of a political party, I need some money, give me some overtime. That's what it is. This what it is. Because your base pay can never override your overtime. How could your overtime be more than your base pay? That's special favor right now. And that special favor could help other people. But this is what happens when you become a part of an organization, and that's just it. So we get low performance. Okay? We get low performance. And I'm agreeing, I'm disagreeing with Minnis in a good way. This is not about, I'm not really disagreeing with him. But he said they didn't deal with the power outage. He said they didn't deal with the small man, the mom and pop stores who, lose merchandising items like eggs, milk, cheese, chicken, pork chop, your hamburgers, and all of those stuff that you had refrigerated can no longer, especially people who had restaurants, especially people who had convenience stores, especially people who had food stores, those who had no generator, were in trouble. So we had a lot of people lost thousands, some lost hundreds, some lost thousands, and they got nothing in return. And the former prime minister is right when he's saying, they have yet failed to address it. BPL has yet failed to address it. A lot of people have lost thousands, hundreds, and they're not address it okay, but they have addressed it, Mr. Minnis. BPL outrage rebate is just $8.45 per home. So that means, you watch let me see $8.45. That's what you get now for losing your DVD. This is what you get now for losing your TV. This is what you get for losing your pork chop in the fridge, your conch, your shrimp, all your items, which in one household, in some of these areas that were blackout, I would say, those little stuff cost a little $60, $70, and then some could, go over. So they did deal with it. So they're gonna give you $8.45 per home to make up for losing your $70 worth of stuff, for losing your $300 TV or $400 TV or $500 TV or $1,000 TV, or your fridge, which could run into anywhere from $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, $700. Some of your grocery, which you had in the fridge, all spoiled. Places like Bamboo Shack, if they had no generators, small convenience stores that has meat products, small breakfast stalls, chicken shacks where their food refrigerated, and their power was off no longer than a day. And all around Nassau, especially with a power outage, you get $8.45 per home. That's what you get. And to me, I don't think that BPL can be able to sustain the whole country with power based on this expert. Listen to the Prime Minister speaking, and they said one thing before the general election. We had the Minister, Ms. Colby Davis. She spoke as the minister responsible that, come this summer we won't have no blackout problem, but all we have is blackouts all across the country, transformers blowing up, underlying that are underground are catching fire because they can't deal with the power outage of the heat. So it's crazy. I don't think they're going to be able to get it right. I think that, as long as we continue to not modernize the electricity industry by bringing new ideas, building new subdivisions, we have to come up with a strategy on how we're going to power that. Building new hotels, we're going to figure out a way how we're going to power that. And also assist the nearby community as well, because, if you use a hotel and you're in a nearby community, you could also find a way on how you can help the residents as well. We have to come up with creative ways that when we do things like this, we know we have a problem with the grid. So why we keep on adding on to the grid unless we have an alternative for the grid? You understand? So it ain't making no sense. We ain't making no sense. We just paying a lot of money, buying a lot of equipment, high-end companies, and at the end of the day, we get high electric bill in the country, all right? And then if your items get damaged, okay, it could cost $100, it could cost $50, it could cost $1,500, it could cost $2,000. All your items which you lose because, like I say, you could have conch, you could have fish, you could have kits of fish and stuff like that. You have your stew. If you have your stew fish, if you have your stew fish restaurant, your South restaurant that sells stew fish, stew conch, and stuff like that. If you don't have no generator, people like fresh fish, people like fresh conch. Automatically, it's going to take a few hours for those things to get a defrost. And once they get defrost, keep on getting defrost and power starting up again, the food's going to spoil. You understand? So that's a loss, okay? So you get $8.45. It's crazy. So we just have to find alternative way, and find out how we can break down some of these payments, And like I said, a lot of these people are qualified for the job, but a lot are politically appointed, and they deny persons who can do the job an opportunity to perform to their capacity. But because of political interference, and if you listen to Mr. Carl Wilson when he comes on, you would see that there's a back and forth with him and some executive members, and they're back and forth. So we have people who are part of the energy company fighting with one another, and he's explaining some things that when the transformers blow, that these guys can't fix it. It's crazy. We can play the next clip, please.
Amid frequent power outages, Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Kyle Wilson is calling for the removal of Bahamas Power and Light Chair Christina Alson, while questioning the millions of dollars she says BPL is paying monthly to the Bahamas Grid Company as consumers continue to suffer.
I feel slapped to the face that we have a failed entity. The government gives over $8 million per month to Bahamas Grid Company. The Bahamian people do not know about this deal. There's no paper that we can look at to say what this deal is about, but yet still BPL, Bahamas Power and Light, is paying them $8 million per month. Not only that, they're asking us to procure all of their parts. After we'd have given them the entire inventory of parts in BPL and all of our trucks and vehicles, they're now demanding to get our staff to go over there. But the deal promised that they were going to bring special experts that are going to cure all for this country.
Consumers in several New Providence communities have endured frequent and prolonged power outages this summer, with BPL officials blaming aging infrastructure and above normal temperatures for increased demand on the system. However, Wilson says the persistent power problems are a failure of leadership.
The country is suffering, okay? And yes, still she gets a second term, but she wants to be about distracting the Bahamian people from her failures and the failures of Bahamas Grid Company to provide what it promised the Bahamian people, and we are suffering. The tourism industry is suffering. The small business is suffering. Persons who are running Airbnbs, they are suffering. The guests are not coming here because there's no power. It's always off.
While it was announced 2 years ago that the newly formed Bahamas Grid Company would take over BPL's New Providence transmission and distribution system, BGC Chief Executive Officer Dario McKenzie said recently the transfer of the assets is still ongoing. As New Providence continues to grapple with an increasingly unreliable power supply. The agreement with BGC was announced 2 years ago as part of a broader energy reform effort aimed at transforming the country's electricity sector.
Where is the line drawn between BPL and BGC? What we are suffering as a nation is at the hands of a failed deal. And to distract, they're pointing at hard-working Bahamians and telling you what? They're making salaries. Okay, we have an industrial agreement that dictates all of that, okay? And it was just registered. The government entered in a deal with the BWU, and that's where these things are derived from. But I am quite sure that our workers are going far above and beyond.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Vonique Tu.
Yeah, when you listen to Mr. Wilson, I like to listen to the former prime ministers. I like to listen to former ministers because, when they're on the opposite side, and like I say, you're not going to hear the truth when they're in power, all right? But it has to be something that happens, and then you get the truth from individuals because they want to speak now because they feel that they want to redeem themselves, and they feel that they're free to talk now because they're being targeted and they want to let the Bahamian people know and get the Bahamian people on their side. But it's good information for us, and listen to them He's talking about the Bahamas Grid Company, okay? That's the company he said that was here 2 years, and we have what we giving them. He's saying they want our equipment. So you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that between BPL and the Bahamas Grid Company, there's a dysfunction somewhere in there. You know, like, okay, it's like Shaq and Kobe with the Lakers. Like I felt that, I'm a Spurs, I'm a diehard Spurs. It's fine. Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard, Bruce Bowen, all those guys, systematic team. Boy, I don't know. It's crazy. We have a, let me see what this can see now. Okay. Yeah. I was going to mention something just now when I talk about the Spurs. But anyway, forget about that. Okay, we can play the next clip list. Okay, yeah, the Bahamas Grid Company and the BPL. Okay, there are two companies who are there to make the BPL more strong and reliable for the BMN people so that we don't have blackouts in the country. So what we have here now is we have two companies that, tick for that. And when I was mentioning Kobe and Shaq, like I said, I was a diehard Spurs. I felt that if Shaq and Kobe stayed together when there was the Lakers, they probably would have been 7. I feel that as a Spurs, we probably would have been 5 or 6 right with them, or we could have tied with 7 as well, because if you look at the Western Conference, we between us, they went to the final 7 times, and the Spurs went 6 times. So they basically dominated the West, okay? But Shaq and Kobe could have been 7 if they didn't have a disagreement between Shaq and Kobe, if they'd have played with their full potentials. But because of this one don't like this one, because of the accolades, and they feel that the fans, they should be the captain and etc. One night they would play, Shaq would play one night, then the next night Kobe would play. Then the next night Shaq ain't playing as hard as he wanted to play. Then the next night Kobe is playing as hard as he wanted to play. I watched times when Kobe could have passed the ball in the Shaq, he said nope, and he shoot the ball, but these possessions, if they were to work together, those same possession and bad shots that they took, right? If they had a chemistry, like when they won their first 3, if they had a chemistry where they knew that no one can beat them, if they have a full chemistry, means everyone on board, the guard is on board, the power forward is on board, the center's on board, the coach is on board, and everyone working as a team, they would win. But because they decided to have them getting beat, we stopped them from going for their 4-peat. Okay? Spurs. And made Kobe and Shaq right, And Derek Fisher, all them cry, because they're going for the 4-peat. Right? I think that's what Carl doing too, if I think. But anyway, the point I'm trying to say is, with these two companies, and Mr. Wilson and him speaking to the one from, I think it's Bahamas Grid Company, we're in for a long haul, We're in for a long haul. But I just hope we start to see what our problem is and keep on maintaining our grid. And hopefully, we have a 20-year plan where we wouldn't be in the position we're in today. But as of right now, we back in the Stone Age. We can play the next clip, please.
I have differences with the government over minimum wage. I repeated that publicly. I said the average Bahamian cannot survive on $260 a week. I mean, you all don't go after the government with that. $260 cannot sustain a Bahamian family of 2 or even 4. That's the TUC's position. So we want Bahamians to be paid just like everybody else. I have differences with the government.
Okay, that's what we focusing. The TFC, right? And he's talking about the $260 that Bahamian people are getting paid. for minimum wage in the country, and he says that we cannot survive off it, right? And I agree with him 1,000%. So that's why I say we can't get no better in the country, because if the money is going to individuals, right, who are getting overtime over their base pay, and then, like I said, they could be qualified for the job. And then we have the minimum wage of regular Bahamians getting $250. We can't say Bahamians are highly paid individuals in the country, you know. It's just what department is recognized. I know that BPL, which it was formerly known as BEC, they're the highest paid government workers in the country. I understand the job is very dangerous, but I also feel that education is just as important as dangerous, because education is progress, okay? Because those technicians who go to BPL, before they could go to BPL, before they could be a technician, they have to go to school and learn from those teachers, to be disciplined, to learn to read and write. So I want to start seeing some teachers, like, talking with $600,000, or 3 teachers talking like $600,000. I want to hear them kind of stuff. That's what I want to hear, you know? I want to hear the autistic community in this country be receiving millions from social service. Okay, that's what I want to see. I want to see the money go to where it needs to go. Okay? We're going to take this call.
Hello.
Yes, good night to you.
Good evening, Scrooge.
Good night, good night.
This is your good buddy, you know, this is Bucket Mount Master.
Yeah. What's up?
Man, you look like you've been dissing me for, man, me and you from the ghetto, and
Yeah.
you diss your brother. What happened? What I do you?
No, we might be from the ghetto, but sometimes Sparky, you get overboard, you know, you just go crazy, and we can't allow to be trying to do some things that are more important than going back and forth.
I know that, but I'm from Taylor Street too, you know.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that, Sparky, but still, you know.
Okay, all due respect, you know. Scrooge, thanks for taking my call, but you know, Scrooge, you and myself and us, we've been talking this thing a little bit too long now. You know, we bragging, but every year we go down Bay Street, July the 10th, bragging with Independence Day. We celebrate that every year. 53 years, we were supposed to be Finland, so we was going to the first world. I want to know where the first world is, because it looks like we ain't reaching there. It looks like, hey, Scrooge.
Yeah, yes, sir.
This little Japanese car with the dark tinted windows in reverse. This car ain't no Mercedes going forward, eh? Scrooge, what'd you say?
We had Mercedes taxi men back in the day. Look at me.
Rutland Bodie was a lawyer, used to go to the court in a Mercedes when the governor had no Mercedes. And he had a one chauffeur carrying him to court with a briefcase and taking money to Switzerland. Now, Rutland Bodie is the talk show host on ZNS.
Yes, and people don't remember we used to, we had taxi drivers. We had taxis in the country with Mercedes. That's when we was making progress. We had taxis.
No, what I'm saying is,
yes.
Now look at school. We crying every day. BPL,
everything, everything,
the roads, everything we crying for. And we just vote our government in overwhelmingly. Everybody in the baby, they say everybody ain't going to vote. Okay. Now everybody didn't go to vote. But those that went to vote voted the PLP in overwhelmingly. And you only end up with 2 or 3 people from there for them in the House Assembly. So you got 2 or 3 people in the House Assembly. That means they move in there overwhelmingly could do what they want to do for the next 5 years. And we could talk and row on these talk shows every day from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening. And if they don't listen to us and don't do what we want them to do, they hold Bible. Hey, Scrooge, when they were to your gate shaking on the gate, what they said, they're going downtown to represent me and you, right?
Yes, sir.
So when they put on their split beard suit and their top hat and go down Bay Street And they hold the Bible. Who they say they represent?
God first and the people.
No. They represent the king and the king heirs and successors.
Oh, you said when they swear to the Bible.
Yeah, they say you can't can't get in the House Assembly unless you
swear.
hold the Bible and swear to the king, heirs, and successors.
Yes.
You can't be sworn in.
And you know, not saying cutting you off, you know, right there and you read the Bible tells you no man should ever do that. But we do it.
You're right. The Bible says
You can't serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve. The Bible tells you you cannot swear, and it also tells you you can't serve two masters.
So why did they go in the House Assembly with the speaker say, "I swear my allegiance to the king and all his heirs and the successors," but they told me they was going down there to represent me.
Yeah.
And then we don't see them no more till the next 5 years. We could have called them and talked to them before the election.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be ringing on our gate, coming on our porch, drinking beers with us and swearing that they could do this and they could do that.
Hold on now. Let me just ask you a question. You know, you're a citizen now, right? You're a citizen, so you're feeling everything that the citizens are feeling in the country when it comes to the hospital, when it comes to BPA getting the blackout, when it comes to everything in the country. So you're a citizen now. But let me ask you a question. When you was talking, Sparky, you mentioned the fact that, you was talking and you said, you can't call them no more and et cetera. You sure us that's for other people. But what about you who yourself, I'm not saying, I don't know what party you vote for, but listen to you're cool with Brave Davis. So what about you? How do you feel now? You're complaining now, but how do you feel that you supported the party you voted? I don't know if you voted Avenue or PLP, but they're in power and that might be a party. How you feel about it now?
Right now, I'm mixed. To be honest with you, I am mixed emotion because, like I keep telling everybody, Philip Edward Brave Davis and myself, we grew up, I am 34 days older than him.
Yes, sir.
We grew up in the Valley. Monroe Avenue, I grew up at Madera Street, East Avenue, Centerville, Montreal Avenue. These Valley boys, all that kind of thing.
Yes,
I went to D. Governor. He went to St. John. We came out together, these Valley boys. He went into banking, I went into banking, we went into different, he went into law. Okay? Now we are grown people and this and that. We still Valley boys and everything.
That's right, but I'm going to ask you the question. You voted, I don't know if you voted, but it seems like you voted PLP, right? So you was looking for improvement, but now you ain't seeing no improvement. So, it's hard for you to complain, Sparky.
No, I am not. Let me screw it.
Just saying.
Right? Okay, so this is what I'm saying is, I want, that's like every Bahamian, I want improvement. Mm-hmm. But it seems like we are being controlled by foreign forces.
Foreign forces?
Foreign people.
Like
foreign
who?
people in our country dictating to our government.
No, I don't think foreign people might be here, but I don't think they're influencing our people. I think we have a black government with black leaders, and they have business in the country. It's their decision when they sit around the table and come to these conclusions. Foreign might have a little say in what goes on in our country, but the main factor that's not affecting our country is our leadership, our color, us.
Yeah, I agree with you. But let me ask you a question. You come from the bottom.
Yes, sir.
I come from Chippenham, Taylor Street, the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
All of us come from the south side of the hill.
Yes, sir.
Them rich people come from the north side, or the harbor side, from Lightfoot Key, all the Yamacraw, all of the Mount Montague, all the rich people on the north side.
Mm-hmm.
We over the left side behind Government House.
Mm-hmm.
We call the bottom. All I'm saying is,
the politician don't live there.
Down Bay Street now, like they forgot us.
Okay.
Because the other people on the right side, they're friends with them now.
Now you're getting it.
Friends with them now. They around Old Fort Bay. They around Cable Beach. All of them on the Cable Beach. They ain't checking us no more.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Sparky. Yeah, that's Sparky giving his 2 cents. But like I said, not to point fingers at nobody. That's the way people need to understand. Okay? When election is over, It is back to reality. Okay? The problems that exist before are still there. Okay? So once election is over, it's getting on to doing the people's work. And right now, these MPs in charge of these different departments, they got to go to work. You know, they have to find a solution. Because right now, it ain't about no PLP. It's about governing this country and fixing our infrastructure. As of right now, we are being told that we would have this problem. We are sure that when we buy these new generators and et cetera, that we won't be in this position, okay? With the high pay of individuals totaling $600,000, their expertise should have this country with no problem whatsoever when it comes to energy reform. With the companies like Bahamas Power Grid, you know, or like Pike, that was in this country and are still in this country, and for some screen reason, that incident with that Pike employee, and after that, it's looked like all hell break loose with our energy platform across the country. Because even some of the transformers on the Family Island are malfunctioning, and that's crazy. And we're hearing our leaders tell us now that old equipment, man, from what I heard, we bought some new generations in. So what old system you're talking about? When we just buy some generation a few years ago, Menace bought some, I think this government bought some. So how are they getting old? You know, I think it's the dealings behind closed door. You know, like when you listen to Mr. Wilson, he was talking about the $8 million that Bahamas Power Grid receives, and the general public doesn't know about that. You understand? But he know about it. But he's now exposing it. He knew about it a long time, but now he's exposing it because now, you know, he is in a predicament and he's kind of disgruntled, and he is telling the truth. 8 million. You know, and things like that goes on behind our backs, and we are not informed. 8 million. So sometimes I believe when Sparky was speaking, he was talking about the rich people. It's a nice deal. I talk to a lot of rich people, and there are a lot of rich black Bahamians here who don't mean the Bahamian people no good. They only look at Bahamian people as consumers. Let me just tell you all that, yeah? They only look at it as business. Some of them have a heart and some cold as hell, excuse my language, who only look at it as business. To you, you look like sheep to them. Because that's how they got to take business. You think the oil company bosses them look at you as, oh, we're going to ease the burden off the Bahamian people? It's about the oil people that our government purchased from companies that are involved with Bahamians here living, whether they're black or white, who are in partnership with oil companies in the U.S. And they're charging the surplus for every barrel of gas. If you go back to 13 years ago, under the Christie administration, with Leslie Miller as the minister in charge of energy, you would see in this interview when he went to Venezuela, when Hugo Chavez was living, and they was going to give us a oil tanker, and they was going to give us oil, I think, for $1 or $3 or something like that, if I can remember it. And Leslie Miller came and he went to Parliament and he was talking about it, and he gets shushed right down. And then he responded and said he got shushed down because of pressure from people from both sides. So he's talking about the business people who say, what you going to do? You're going to go to Venezuela and we get gas here for like $6 a gallon, and now you're going to Venezuela where we get it for $1 something? Are you crazy? Huh? You're going to cause us lose, huh? So that had to get boycott. The problem is, it's the people who you don't see. Read the newspapers. You know what I'm going to call on you. But they are business people. Some have a good heart and some have a bad heart. All right? And they have connections with these companies like Shell, Esso and all this stuff, Extra and all this stuff. These companies are partners right here in the Bahamas. Okay? Right here in this Bahamas. All right? And that's what's going on with BPL. So it's about the dollar. Us, we are sheeps, we are consumers, people. We are customers. Okay? So that's when Sparky is talking about rich people and this and that. I ain't falling for that. A lot of these politicians that we have in the House of Assembly are business partners with the real companies around the world. And they themselves are the ones who get the prices the way it is today. And they're the ones who now don't want to change the energy sector and make it reliable. Because they know if they go solar, think about these people, if they go solar and they do some of those systems around the world, like water platforms or water energy platforms like John Bostwick talked about, like what Graham Rutherford recommended around the country along with John Bostwick and stuff like that. There's different ways with solar. We'd see reduction in fuel expenditure where the government wouldn't be paying so much money for a barrel of oil. You know? Because people would be putting back on the grid with their solar systems. That's why government wouldn't want to go solar. They would have solar systems on their government buildings, but they don't want you to have none. Think about it, because again, of the partnership of group of companies, of world companies that are here in the country that are Bahamian people, who are businessmen, have connection to, and they use their connection to get taxes reduced. All right? Customs reduced. And they get the stuff in there cheap. And then they go back and triple it on us. That's what it's all about. We could fix BPL long time. Solar system, solar parks on the family islands where there's community, we reduce it tremendously. Power plants on certain islands would reduce it tremendously. And take the pressure off the power grid here in the country. New subdivision that we're going to build, let's strategize, let's take a look at it, and let's see how we're going to get the power. Let's not run from BPL. Let's find all different alternative right now than to put it on the grid. Let's find a different way in how we can supply a subdivision with some alternative energy. Let's try it. Okay, let's try to do something like Silicon Valley. You know, that's what we need. That's all it is. We're going to play the next clip. We have one more. Okay. And no one could wait for no $260 like O.B. Ferguson stated. You know, it's impossible. We have to increase the teachers and all that stuff pay. Just like how we get BPL staff to making that overtime. Go ahead, Chris.
So at year one, you should have 5 separate visits for vaccines rather than giving them all in the same day. Very importantly, vaccinations for hepatitis B, COVID-19, and influenza, among others, are no longer recommended for all children. In addition, this executive order directs the Attorney General to advance legal challenges against states that violate children's rights to religious or medical vaccination exemptions for the So at year.
Okay, that is President Donald Trump. Now, listen to me, Bahamian people. I ain't a fan of Donald Trump, but there's some things he did good, and there's some things he did bad. But there's some good stuff he did, like introducing the Bible back to the school. He refused to take the COVID-19 shot, and he let the world know that he was not supporting it. So there was some truth to this president. There's some things he did good. He went after border protection, of stopping kids. See, when he did that, I didn't approve of what ICE is doing. But in doing so, they're uncovering smuggling rings where people were abducting kids, taking them state to state, you know, and stuff like that, you know, illegal entry, you know, and leading to prostituting young kids and et cetera. You know, that's what's going on over in the States, and, you know, that's what leads to some of his initiative that he enforced. You know, there's some good he did. Now, there's a lot of bad, but there's some good he did, you know, and which I speaking on. You know, when you listen to him, he he talked about the COVID-19. So here in the Bahamas, Ross was on last week, and this is for Ross to just to support what he was saying. When many of the people who didn't take the vaccine shot, they were victimized, some were fired from their jobs, some couldn't go to work. Kyrie Irving was one of those guys, he only could play in certain states. You had next tennis, I think tennis player, he refused. And you had a lot of other stars who refused to take the shot. And they were victimized and scrutinized. Doctors who know about diseases and infectious diseases who were not a part of the World Health Organization, who only spoke the truth. When they spoke on the matter, they were victimized. They were fired, and we had pastors, we had radio stations, we had some of the most important people in the world speaking on these things and saying, get a shot, and it was going to be this and it was going to be that. Now we get the find out that Dr. Fauci, Mr. Bill Gates, and all these guys had their own scheme. You can't deny it. No one listening to the show can't deny it because the proof is right there. Anyone can go on Facebook now and see Dr. Fauci is being questioned by the Senate and looking to face criminal charges. They just voted, for him to answer. He pleaded the Fifth Amendment 108 times. So you think if you plead the Fifth Amendment 108 times, you mean that makes you innocent? You're pleading because you don't want to incriminate yourself. So by him pleading that, he is not speaking on the matter. So if he's not speaking on the matter, you can't ask him no question. So he pleaded that to stop you from asking. So he pleaded that so he don't have to answer those questions. But now the Senate, has decided, that, they voted and say no, he has the answer. So now we getting the final that it could have been. It could have been it could have been maintained and treated the COVID-19 without the lockdown and all those procedures. Even though, like I said, investigation are finding out now that it escaped from the Wuhan laboratory in China and then infected the staff, and from there, it was engineered, and they say, you know what? Let's see what happened. And we have Dr. Fauci now saying that he himself did not think, let me see what he said, his words was, Dr. Fauci, he said something. He said that pregnant females and stuff like that, we have low birth and pregnancy in women in the world today for those who take the COVID-19. You understand? So the president now is saying that, vaccinated shot, kids are not going to take that all at one time. Because like I told you, from 1986, they show on the chart, like kids were only taking like 3 immunization shots. That's vaccine. Now kids before they could go to school or have to be registered for school, they have to take like at least over 15, 16 different vaccinated shots. And what they get to find out now is that the same shots have led to autism in kids. And that's why Trump now is banning certain vaccination shots, like the influenza, what he's talking about. He's not allowing kids in the United States of America to take those shots no more because they have found out that these shots changes the molecular structure of the kids, changes the hormones in the kids, getting the kids them sick with incurable diseases. So mothers and fathers, please take care when you go to the clinic. Know what your child is being injected with. Because we had a president of the United States is making it law and mandate that certain vaccines should not be given to kids. Okay? A lot of those vaccines that were given to kids lead to a lot of autism around the Bahamas and a lot of uncurable diseases in this country. You know, and what surprises me being this Bahamas, I mean, here in this United States of America, we're so close in proximity. But here's the thing. Why are we not listening to what Donald Trump has to say when it comes to these vaccinated shots and why he's eliminating these vaccinated shots and why we get high autism in this country because of these shots that were being given under previous administration that the United States had it. But there is a God, and God would always fight. And he have his people. And his people, you know, like John F. Kennedy, his grandson, I think it's his grandson, or his brother, I can't remember which one it is, but he is part of the Republican, I think the Republican Party. And he speaks on these different vaccination shots, and he says with the COVID-19, and he says these things cause all kind of incurable diseases in human. And they had their own team set up. That's like what Dr. Dowell is trying to do when he talk about the food task force. Well, the Kennedy, he has something similar on checking infectious diseases like vaccination shots and what they cause to the human body. If it's giving you cancer, if it's giving you this and giving you that. And his research. And Donald Trump coming on board, and that's his profession. And he brought all his evidence. And his team of doctors were able to say, you know what, these things are harming people around the world. And they are found responsible for a lot of the autistic children here in the Bahamas as well. So we have to watch our food. We have to watch these vaccinated shots here in the country. Our nurses and doctors are not going to tell you that because they signed a contract with the World Health Organization as doctors, okay? Only very few doctors who had God in them, who did not fail, who spoke out, they are the real heroes, okay? People like Kyrie Irving and stuff like that. They fought against the whole world. You know, I never got the COVID-19 shot because I didn't believe in that. I didn't believe that a disease like that should put me in fear when I know God telling me don't fear and that he has us. And despite all of that, we are still here today, still living, still strong, okay? So it goes to show you the Bible says that you cannot eat or buy none unless you get the mark of the beast. So I think that first trial right there when the World Health Organization under the leadership of Dr. Fauci and one Bill Gates, that was the first test to see if we could get a one world government here where we could have the World Health Organization controlling all of the world leaders. Okay, it failed. And they will try again. So what I'm saying to you is that listen to what Donald Trump has to say. He's not a perfect man, but there's some good things he did that I took notice of. There's a lot of bad stuff he did, like first of all, taking a Venezuelan president, bombing the boats leaving on Venezuela, the way he talked to people, the way he talked to the press. I don't approve of none of that. I don't approve of that because as a president, you have to be a president for all. You have to respect every citizen as long as the citizen is not being disrespectful to you. He now is trying to get his face back. But like I said, some points he did, some programs he did that were very beneficial to us as human beings. Some things that God stood for, the president stood for. That don't mean he's a godly man. He might have some things that, he might have some things that, you have a connection with God with. And his job was to carry it out for God at this particular time. I just want you to know that. So listen to what's going on around the world when it comes to your health and what's going on. Especially, like I told you, I got the information on Facebook. I keep on looking. I saw the vaccination. I saw him saying these things, and I go and follow it up, and I make sure, see if one other station could say it, and the next station said, and the next station said, then I say, okay, yes. He's on to something. And he did say that it leads to autism because those shots and those vaccines changes the molecular structure of the human body. So again, like I say, I'm your host, Valentino Brown. I just like the opportunity just to speak to you guys out there. And I like when you call in. And I like to open your eyes as well to what's going on around the world. Not just news here in the country, but around the world. That was our last clip, right? Okay. How much more time you get? 47 minutes left? 47? 27 minutes left. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So, not when the whole world goes with something, that means you have to go with it as well. Because the COVID-19 proves that. And now we find out that it wasn't all that so necessary. Okay. Something else I don't want to talk about. All right. Oh, yes, we go. Okay. So let me read you. Let me read some more. An 8-year-old autistic boy has been allowed to relocate from Grand Bahama to the United States after a Supreme Court judge found that the specialized services he needs are not available locally and that access to them abroad outweighed the disruption of moving him away from his father and extended family. Justice Constance Delancey ruling followed evidence from social service that the availability of specialized services locally is severely lacking, while the boy's temporary tutor, I'm going to go to page 4. Says, acknowledge that she does not have the experience required to assist him over the long term. The child who has delayed communication skills, the child who has delayed communication skills requires specialized education and continuing therapy. Social service found that he needs constant structure, specialized educational support, and ongoing therapeutic intervention, but identify one local government educational institute that might be able to provide him with some instruction. Justice Delancey concluded that the benefits of access to specialized services unavailable in Grand Bahama outweighed the negative effect of real environment. She said she also found that although his father had proposed a 6-week intensive program in the United States that might benefit him, there was no tangible plan for the child's long-time access and specialized services. So afterwards, came in a contested relocation case between the boy's divorced parents. So, like I say, a lot of kids in this country are autistic because, of the food they eat, of the vaccinated shot they took. This is proven. This is proven. This is proven by years now of studies, just like radiation now. Okay, they're telling you, say, when you go use the radiation thing, it could reevaluate your cancer cells. So there's a lot that we have to do in the country. Really, education is a serious thing. As an autistic parent in the country, working 9 to 5, $260. You got autistic kid. They eat a lot. You need special reading. What the judge say? There's a lot of time and effort, medical attention. For kids who are autistic in the country, and they're saying that we don't we only have one particular institution in the country that can, really assist. So boy, our health department, we really need checks and balances put in place, and what is being put in our kids. We need to look at some of these regulations that the United States is now passing in Congress to stop the spread of, autistic-ism based on the evidence that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is receiving. Because he's telling you, say, that these vaccines are responsible for kids being autistic in the country. So if the president is telling you that, and us here, as the government of the Bahamas and our health doctor, Dr. Dowell, we should be hearing something from Dr. Dowell on addressing the Bahamian people here in the country on this matter, because it's very important that we get this information. Because a lot of persons now would be more reluctant than to just give their kids anything. You could imagine a pregnant woman right now, she's in the hospital and she's taking how much different immunization shots, what she's putting in her body. What do you think it's gonna be foreign? I didn't even know a sperm is foreign in a woman, until I really started to look at it. There's a lot you still can learn, the man's sperm is actually foreign in a woman's body. It's crazy how immune system would try to get rid of the sperm that is inside of her. But there's something that they say, there's something that happens that allows the sperm to mature, with the woman, with the fetus then, okay? Become a fetus. It's crazy, It's crazy. So anything that we put in our body, especially all of these vaccinated shots, you don't know what they're doing to your body, Giving some people cancer, all kind of stuff, man. It's crazy. So we need Dr. Dowell and poison and health professionals to tell us as Bahamians, what are some of the things that we can reduce in our life to stop certain ailments. We need updates. I listen to Dr. Dowell. They're saying they have some type of treatment for the HIV. They're trying to eradicate it by 2030 or something like that. I ain't too sure. Well, we need some more information on that because we have a lot of places in the country who could really use that information. And they also I think it's a shot that they have available that prevents you from getting HIV. We need Dr. Dowell also come tell us about that. Tell us if you don't have it, if you don't have HIV and you're sexually active, they're saying that, you could take this. This will prevent you from getting HIV and pass it on to anybody. So these information, things like that, information like Donald Trump telling us, he is banning certain vaccinated shots in America. And kids are not taking 18 vaccinated shot one time before they get into school. They're going to take it as they grow, every 5 years or whatever year it is. Like how we used to do it when we was younger. But now kids, got to get all the shots at once. And this is putting a lot of foreign stuff in your body. You understand? And we don't know the side effects. Lead to kidney disease, all kind of stuff happening to our people because of these vaccine and processed food that we are putting in our body that are very harmful to us. So we need Dr. Dowell as a Ministry of Health to tell us where we can go to get this information. Yes, people, there are pills out there that the hospital has. I read the newspaper. I always read the newspaper. They have it there. If you're not infected, you can take this. I don't know if it's a shot or pill. I think it's a shot. I think it's a pill that could prevent you from getting it if you don't have it. And then they have a next pills there. If you have it, if you have it, you can use it and bring down the virus count in your blood so that you don't transmit it. We need all of this information. We need the information on what the Bahamas is going to do to stop like high blood pressure, diabetes in the country, first line of defense. So we need the health minister like to be addressing us on a regular basis on the prevention better than cure, what medicine is available, and it's not going to be like a little hour every week or so on different parts of the healthcare industry in the country. Come on, what's going on the radio, let's talk, and let us know like what you have available for the Bahamian people. Information that we be more than gladly to receive. And we need that information like from these different government ministries. And that's all maintenance, Giving the information is very important. So every time I listen to the Dr. Dowell, he's giving you piece here, piece there. What we need to do is the things that are most important. We need the health doctor to really be on TV a lot, on a health channel, on a weekly or monthly basis, and just telling the Bahamian people, about sexually transmitted diseases, incurable diseases, also how to prevent certain diseases from occurring in your body, and etc. That's what we need, We can take this call. It's going to be our last call for the night, so go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City.
Yeah, blessed Scrooge.
Yes, brother.
I give thanks. I like how you pushing these issues, but we are all mindless idiots, You don't have the right to question the pundits. They know it all. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
And so I stopped reading because it only makes me angry, right? Concerning these particular scenarios you're talking about, it's sad that we're not hearing from them, right? And all of the pundits who were reading a script during the pandemic, they are mum as relates to Dr. Fauci pleading the fifth 111 times, right? He pleaded the fifth. I had to light up a spliff. See, because I couldn't believe, and so he's so educated. Let me give you an example. Firstly, Scrooge, let me point you as a bridge into the right direction. Just go on PBS and Google the origin of AIDS, okay?
Yes.
And watch the documentary and watch how the doctor, the scientist lied, and then was actually, the documentation took place after he lied to the whole world about the origins of AIDS concerning SIV versus HIV, and the studies that showed that when they infected humans with SIV, they became sick with HIV.
Yes.
But when they infected the monkeys with HIV, they didn't get sick. It's a study, but we want to talk about the simian virus, the contaminants in the monkey kidney tissue. It's documented. I didn't even have time to get in there, but let me show how sophisticated HIV is then. HIV is a virus, very sophisticated. It uses reverse transcription to turn single-stranded RNA into double-stranded DNA. You don't need to, I don't want to get into the radio, but what I'm saying is, as it relates to vaccines, I try to point people in a quick direction. You could go online and just look at the
everything is right there.
And then, some are safer than others, and then there's 7 types of vaccines. So it's just basically the mRNA I'm talking about. If you had a phone, anybody who knows me know that I've shared the biodigital convergence saying that mRNA is this. It's on Google. It has nothing to do with me. I've shared it with people. They've seen it. But what I'm saying, in other words, when it comes to the cocktail of vaccines, Robert F. Kennedy I was following him for about, from the 90s. Okay?
You're on the same thing. Okay, yes, brother, go ahead.
So what happened is, it's Japan has outlawed the mRNA.
That's right.
The mumps, measles, and rubella.
That's right.
And so, I think I can't remember when they did it, but the problem is, it's not the vaccines. Like some of them, those particular models. But what happens is the cocktail of vaccines and the increase in it.
Yes.
And so, as they increase the amounts, you will see adverse events increase if you look at the graph and deaths, etc. But so, what's the harm in giving them incrementally versus putting like how they had the pertussis and the other set, or the 3 in 1, and they have the mumps, measles, and rubella all in one. And so what that does is that disadvantages the public. Now, there's a statement issued by the CDC in which they said they cannot prove that it didn't cause autism, but they know that there's association and cause.
Yes.
Let's use common sense now. There's association and cause. So as you increase these vaccines, then the increase in autism. So now what happens is there's nothing wrong with separating them, but by you giving cocktails all in one, I can't remember the other one with pertussis, which is, I think, whooping cough, and some other diphtheria, and some other said that they give all three in one too. So by doing that, you're not sure which one is causing the adverse event. Because they add adjuvants to them, like I explained to the public. Adjuvants are simply adjuvants. It's not just like the word. They're adding chemicals or ingredients to the vaccines to make them more, to make the immune system response more robust, or to add lifetime to the vaccines, et cetera, et cetera. You know, some vaccines, they don't have to be refrigerated, et cetera. We don't need to get into all of that. But what happens is, during the pandemic, when you read even 1,000 pages out of the 400,000 pages, you'll find that some of the subsidiaries who were helping manufacture the vaccines, they had laboratory breaches as far as regulations. And one of the things was they found out that some of the lots didn't contain a consistent micrograms of ingredients. But it's too deep to get into on the radio. But you won't get the truth from these people. And what I'm afraid is that they were Senator Ron Paul, Jill Fauci, right? But Fauci, well, I mean, you know, the thing is, it's crimes against humanity, you know, and people just hate to believe that. But you know, you can imagine playing the fifth 111 times.
So let me ask you a question. Why I'm playing that makes them innocent?
It makes him filthy. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't want to say. And then he turned around and say he's lawyer saying anyone who on the social media calling him a criminal. But he can have the whole world to carry the court. Because like all kind of people, the woman from Australia got a post where she's saying this vaccine killed her 23-year-old daughter. Now the thing is, people who were young and robust, whose immune system were robust, they did not no need to take this vaccine.
No.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. And so the truth will never come out because no one going to look through 400,000 pages. That's what it's designed to do, Scrooge. I only can point the people in the right direction. But what I'm saying is all of the pundits here are mum. All right? They are mum on this particular issue. And ask them, the first question is ask them, how much of the 400,000 pages did they read? But people who took the vaccines, they were a part of the stage 4 clinical trials, but they didn't know that. And educated people bought into it so quickly. Even the doctor who in Florida who died from taking the vaccines, I wasn't sorry for him because me, who was a non-pundit, I did already understand the physical aspect of the toxic spike protein in which it actually causes endothelial cells to thrombose. Hence, bitching is a foreign thing. So the blood platelets will proliferate in a certain area and cause blood clots. It's simple to explain to people, you know. But because some people didn't have no effect, they say, well, ain't nothing wrong with them, but they don't understand it's still a biological digital convergence. I've had your phone number to send it to you.
Yes, I know. I read it.
But, you know, but everything goes. Like I said, we are all bookless, mindless idiots. We don't have a right to question them. And the booster was all designed to really buy into you to get you sicker because one of the things I explained to the public, three key words was key to what I was trying to tell the public. Antigenic shift, antigenic drive, the mutagenic capacity of the virus, with the gain of function research, the risk didn't, the benefits, the risk outweigh the benefits, and so they know that, Scoozy.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But even so, one of the reasons why I was saying it couldn't work was because of the antigenic shift and antigenic different wild reassortment amongst influenza A, C, and B. Now, one of them don't combine with one another, like the mutated one. I can't remember which one, but it doesn't even matter. But the fact remains is the science is there for you to go and learn, and even the CDC chief said that the public must be more educated on the scientific literature. But remember now, as you speak about HIV, let's use common sense. You're saying take the vaccine before you become infected, right? So did the government ensure that people didn't have COVID before they asked them to take the vaccine? No, they didn't. They didn't ask if you had COVID. They just line you up and you took the vaccine. And then they keep saying, "Oh, there's a new mutation." They put a picture of the scary virus on the TV, and then you just line up like a rooster and go take your booster because you was frightened, but you didn't even understand. The key thing was really that the immune system mutates also, right? For specificity in the germline center and the upper lymphatic system, if I could remember well, with the latter. But what I'm saying is your immune system has a phenotypical characteristics in which it can remember the physical aspect of the virus, which is the morphology also. And then it also could remember the DNA aspect of the virus. But they didn't want you to know this, Scoogy. This is nothing to do with 52. So what I'm saying is that Dr. Fauci still plea 111 times. He pleaded the fifth. So I had to light up a spliff. Now, what I'm saying is, you didn't hear from these pundits, them, and these people still ain't got no shame, brother. Give thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. 52 really knows his stuff. But, he was campaigning, telling you about COVID-19 and et cetera and et cetera. And many people criticizing him. And now, look, he was telling the truth. Crazy. He talked about, ain't necessary the vaccine. He's talking about the vaccine might not be, all that dangerous to the human body, but he say a cocktail, a booster shots means you take one, but you're taking more than one. That's why Donald Trump states that, kids don't have to take all those booster shots or all those vaccine shots one time. Take them in a period of time to see what the effects are going to be. And that's what 52 is saying, a cocktail of injections of vaccine one after the next. You don't know what that is going to turn into. I be watching The Incredible Hulk and stuff like that. I like to watch scientific movie. I like to watch Resident Evil, talk about the virus. The same COVID-19 virus, you watch Resident Evil, it's no different than that. Okay, people, listen, nothing new under the sun. All right? And that started in Wuhan, China, too. And most of the movies you see when they have outbreaks of viruses or experimental, it always starts in China. The U.S. always has a company in China. The U.S. always has a company in China. Watch the majority of movies and you'd see. All right? Don't like it all. Message here. And it says here, I like to read people's messages. It says here, know that God created animals and human males with sperm cells to impregnate animals and human females to populate. So sperms are not foreign to our bodies. Yeah, I agree. I was just saying it because, like I said, when I was reading on it, it shows you that when the sperms enter the body, how the human immune system tries to, but there's something that God does. That's why I said that, I don't know what God did. He protects that particular sperm so that could get to the egg, to the woman egg, and so that they could combine together. And in there, when they combine together, when the sperm reaches the woman's egg, a fertilized egg, once the sperm reach the egg, they say a force of a nuclear bomb goes off in the woman's stomach. That means when the sperm goes into the egg and it gets fertilized, a nuclear bomb goes off in the woman's stomach. That's crazy, eh? That's crazy. Because I watch these kind of stuff. I sit down on Saturdays on the Sabbath and just watch and, watch everything like that. Because I like to look at things like that. It educates you. Okay? So, yeah, I agree with you. But I just saying, when I was watching it, I show you how the human immune system would, attack the sperm. But God puts a protective layer on it and it reaches the egg. And when it reaches the egg, it shows you, how the egg changes immediately. And then, like a nuclear weapon goes off, boom, like that. Imagine that. A nuclear weapon, not force, in the woman's stomach to withstand a nuclear weapon. And then in turn, it creates an embryo, a fertilized egg, which in turn creates a male or female child. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. It's my pleasure to talk about these topics because I feel that they are most important for us to listen to. Sometimes I don't even know what I want to talk about in the show. Sometimes I just put a couple things together in the newspaper, but it's always about the Bahamian people. And when I put it together, it becomes a good topic. So I hope you enjoyed the show on Guardian Radio 96.9. I'm Valentino Brown, a.k.a. Scoochie or Scrooge, host of the talk show Inside the Inner City. We come on every Friday at 6:30 to 8 p.m. And our job is to educate, find solutions for the country's problem, but also to expose the darkness that goes on in the country and bring it to light. And also to educate the general public out there about programs and relief efforts and solutions that can make the country a better place. I would just like to say to our leaders, we need more from you guys in your government position. We need more maintenance. We need maintenance to our government infrastructures. We need maintenance also in our government departments to make sure that we keep a track on overtime pay. Like, we can't allow 3 individuals to make $600,000, even though they could be qualified. That could be monies to be used for the autistic children or social service or some type of important matters in our country. Okay? So, again, for all that blackout, the whole entire Bahamian population is getting an $8.45 per home outage rebate. And you could have lost thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars worth of product. So you're getting $8.45 from BPL from all the blackouts in the country. So we have to fix that. I think that people should be able to say, I lost $5,000 or $4,000 or $500. I lost my TV. I lost my radio. I want compensation. So BPL have to be held accountable because we are paying them. Okay? So as customers and consumers, if our stuff get damaged because of the blackouts, I think that you need to go and report it, and BPL needs to put a thing in place. I think they have something in place when if blackouts occur and your stuff get damaged or you lost some items, I think that you could go and submit it and they would give you something in return. I think we need to do that as well. Same thing with our roads. We paying for the roads, we paying for our license, we paying for our insurance and stuff like that, which are very expensive. I feel that if you burst a car tire on the road, on the government road, that is responsible for the Ministry of Works. And then if your tire costs $80 and it costs the wrecker to come pick it up for $70, I feel that since you are high paying taxpayers and we deserve the best quality service in the country, I think that Ministry of Public Works should reimburse you with a tire and reimburse you for the wrecker. I think that any car that has infractions when it comes to tire getting burst or you hit a pothole and damage your transmission, you have to fix that. You record that, the tire, and then go make your complaint to BPL. So I think that's what the former Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Minnis, was talking about. Instead of this 8 per home, why not do this in return that when there's a blackout and any mom and pop store who lose their supplies or anyone who was being damaged can submit their complaints to BPL. And it's checked out now because, there's also people can lie and say that, they lost $500 worth of stuff. That time they lost nothing. And just because they can do it. But if it could be proven, the fact that you lose these things, then you should get your money back. If you blow your